You've been standing outside of the witch's hut for about 2 hours. You dragged Havisla here in great concern. Some of you concerned, some of you thinking it was your job to do this, some of you thinking it was an opportunity. But nonetheless, Havisla is in this witch's hut. She spent like a lot of time, the witch, over her body, and she's been singing and like taking all these powders and these roots and like grinding them up, and then like mixing in strange liquids and blood and milk and all these weird things, and then like either like getting Havisla to ingest them or inhale them or like rubbing them into the wound. This strange sort of dance she's doing to try and heal her. Hauk, the singer, would surprise you. I think he is assisting. He's singing, and he usually will sing sort of bawdy tunes about nothing, but he's singing this like old language, and you can sense like the stirring of magic there, trying to help Havisla. You can tell by the look in his face that he feels guilt over what happened. There's been a bit of a hubbub in the city. Your actions have not gone unnoticed. And so far no one's approached you, but you can see that like several people have like pointed at you from across the street or like whispered to other people nearby, as like your gang basically stands outside this witch's shop. Is there anything that you would have done in these sort of intervening hours, or would you just be waiting here?
I think Feidhlem at least would probably have spent most of it waiting. He doesn't want to go too far from Havisla, just in case some thing happens with that, and also knowing that they're expecting some other company pretty soon as well. He doesn't want to disappear, even if he wasn't trying to make a run for it, just for them to think that he was. So he would be pretty set.
Scum, you can see like this flashback of like Havisla on the ground, like getting kicked in the head while another of these like sailors from the other side like shanks her kneecap again and again. And you remember all the chaos and like the screaming and all the madness that had happened in that bar, how tempers had flared. And you've been standing outside here, outside the shop, with a bunch of the other crew members. Hauk would approach you, like taking a break and like wiping his forehead. His like voice is hoarse from singing. He approaches you and a bunch of the other sort of members of the pirate crew, even though you're not necessarily one of them. You're in the under crew. And he would say, right, we all know what happened in there. That's clear. Things got out of hand and there was a fight. Nobody's fault, eh?
Scum tongues a tooth hole behind closed lips and nods slowly once.
Nobody's fault. Just one of those things. Those fucks. Those fucks in the bar, they were looking for trouble. And, well, we don't back down from that. Hey, boys. And a couple of them, like, nod. His, like, gaze would, like, fall over, and you can see, like, all of his pirate crew kind of, like, nod, making it clear that they'll go with his story, but then he'll, like, look to some of the others from Ingvik, and then land on you, Scum.
I'll just lock eyes with him. Won't break his gaze. But if his face changes to like be darker, or like moves towards me, I'll like cast my eyes down to my boots.
Nobody's fault, they scum. Just one of those things. Say it.
Nobody's fault. He rattles.
Aye, good lad. And he'll like sort of like he'll like put his hand on your shoulder, sort of absentmindedly, as he looks back into the witch's hut, where you can hear her like singing in this language that you just don't even understand. None of you understand. And there's like a faint sort of like smoke and dust coming from in there. He like takes a long gulp of water and says, "Right, back at it." And he'll like muscle past some of the crew to get back inside.
Scom wouldn't move too far away. They would try and like find a corner to watch.
Hivisla, you are walking through an icy cave. It's dark and it's cold, and you can see your breath before you. You're naked, and there are these sharp stones underfoot that like hurt you with every step that you walk, and you feel like you've been walking for hours. You don't really know where you're going, but you also don't think that you can stop or turn back. The cave seems to be endless and featureless, and you think for a moment that you see something like crawling on the ceiling up above, hundreds of feet, but then you can't quite focus on it. It's the kind of cold that you think this place has never seen the sun.
Visla slows briefly to stare up at the ceiling, but feels this pull onwards. She keeps going. She looks behind to see if there's blood. Her feet hurt. They should be bleeding now.
There is a trail of blood behind you, and as you kind of like look back, you can see that it like takes this like spiral shape, like a snake curled up, coiled up. You've been walking in circles, it seems.
She shakes her head and looks down at one of the spiral tattoos across her skin, traces it briefly before continuing onward in what she hopes is a straight direction towards something. An end, a beginning.
You see a light, and the warmth of it brings tears to your eyes. There's a flame in this endless black and blue, and you trudge towards it, and it moves towards you. It's not a sun or a flame, but a man. He's handsome, and he's got this long red hair. His face is slim but not gaunt, angular but not jagged, and his smile is the kindest thing that you've ever seen. And he comes close and he opens his arms, and the warmth is the most wonderful feeling.
She walks closer to him and feels that he must be a god no man could shine such, could give such warmth. And she kneels.
He's just out of reach. Always, he moves slightly ahead of you, and you try to stop, but you can't. You have to keep walking. You like try to kneel, but you're unable to. Just this trudge, this endless walk. And he says, "Prophecy speaker and birth giver, your face, a choice in the direction that you go. The skeins of your fate unravel and split, weal and woe. Your life or that of your child, both could grow strong or both could wane."
You speak in riddles. Who are you?
I offer a choice. It stands before you. The child can be saved by my light and my grace, and your life as well. All you need to do is speak, and it will be so. Accept the blessing, and you and your child will grow. Hale and hearty, once again. Accept the blessing, and our light shall protect your child, and see that it is all it could ask for.
What blessing? Who are you?
You stand here, in this place. This is the future that awaits you if you die.
You still do not answer me. You are not hell.
What matter? Who I am, what I am. I offer you a chance at life, a chance for your child to live.
Odin have I served, and to him I have been loyal. You are not the one-eyed god.
No, I am not. I have both eyes, though I have wisdom. I offer you this blessing that you and your child can live. And he opens his hands again, and there's like a warmth that comes over you, welcoming. It's the first piece of warmth you felt in. It feels like hundreds of years. Outside of the shop, there's of approaching footsteps, and a great many come around the corner. Warriors, all in shining mail, with the raven symbol of the Gunnarssons. At their head is this man, very, very tall, probably the tallest man you've seen. He's nearly 7 foot and famous throughout Iskloft. You can see that he's missing a finger on his left hand. His name is Hakon, 9 fingers. He's the most famous of the Huskarls, maybe in all of Iskloft. He's the champion of Gunnar and has been for a long time. He's got this great sword that he is leaning over his shoulder as the guards behind him with their spectacle helms come to a stop. Well, you stand accused of murder in the street. The significant witnesses. It's a crime that cannot go unanswered. Here in Vyrmhold, in the lands of Gunnar Gunnarsson, the law is sacred. Which of you speaks for this group?
Feidhlem will step forward. I do.
Right. Well, there's no murder goes unpaid in Vyrmhold. Jarl doesn't tolerate that kind of pissing around in this city. We apprehended a number of people from one of the shitholes in the Fjaldima, but we have quite a few witnesses that say you and yours killed someone in the street. I assume you'll come quietly.
We merely acted in defense of our own lives, but if we must, I will come and speak on my own behalf.
There's witnesses that say you killed. Even in defense of your own life, it's still murder in the city limits. And we'll have to see what the thing says. You'll lay down your arms?
We do not mean to resist. Now we will go.
A bunch of the pirates in your crew, Feidhlem, look shocked that they're going to go and stand trial somewhere. They like look at you like, really? We're going?
Feidhlem just looks at them like, do you see the 100 soldiers and one of the greatest warriors of all time standing right here?
Right. He looks over his shoulder and he clicks, and a couple of the warriors come forward to take weapons and things like that to ensure there's no mischief. This woman, she's with you, and he points in to the shop.
Yes.
Wrinkles his nose. And you're dealing with the witch, huh? Better let her die, I would say. I was told to bring you all to Gunnar.
You do not mean to drag her through the city in that like that, do you?
He looks behind him at the soldiers. Imagine you're me, lad. Imagine Gunnar told you to go and get all of the people, and then one of them can't go. What do you do?
She wasn't even involved.
She's one of yours. You're responsible. And the actions of you reflect on all of the people under your command. At least in this city. Oh, fuck it. He turns around and chats quietly with one of the dudes behind him who's nodding, and then shakes his head, and then he nods again. All right, with me. And you see 5 of them go and stand in front of the shop, obviously keeping guard, making sure Havisa doesn't leave. You're led through the city, up past where you're allowed to go as non-citizens. You pass through this great gatehouse of stone wrought by the Jotun centuries or millennia ago. The gate itself far taller than it needs to be, and up into the upper city. You follow this staircase carved into the mountain itself, with buildings carved into it as well. The steps are exhausting to climb. They're not built for people, although they have been cut to some extent so that people can climb them. Still, the steps are much larger than you would like, and it's a steep climb. And by the time you're halfway up, you're out of breath. You continue to climb for the best part of an hour until you come to this fortress at the top here, and you pass through. Everyone nods to Hakon as he leads you through. And there's a great bridge that spans from the top of this peak to the top of a peak directly opposite it. It's quite a narrow bridge, maybe 10 feet wide. There is, thankfully, a rail that you can hold onto as you make your way across this windswept bridge, hundreds, if not thousands of feet above the ground, that spans between 2 mountains. And not for the first time in this city, you think, how could anyone have conquered this ever? How is it possible that this place was conquered? It's just castles and towers and walls and stone. Everything is of stone. You cross that bridge and you pass in front of a huge castle. Walls so huge that they would keep even giants out. And you're brought past it and down into a kind of amphitheater. You have to get down and pull yourself down these stairs, as they were obviously not made for people. And there's a 10-foot drop between each stair. It's quite an arduous process. There is a path that's been carved, but the path is taken up by Hakon and his soldiers, and you're encouraged to jump. Maybe as a means of humiliation, who knows? Eventually, you come down into this like wide sort of stage area where you are made to stand atop this like wooden platform that's been built. There's a huge stone here, marked and carved in the likeness of Tyr, the lawgiver. And once you're here, you wait. And quite a lot of time goes by, about half an hour before other people start to like filter into this little theater. It's huge. Filter into the place. They look well dressed, as in colorful clothing. They have like well manicured sort of hair and beard, and like shining brooches and fur cloaks. And they start to like move into the lower parts of the theater, obviously gathering for a thing. After the place starts to fill, although it's nowhere near capacity, you reckon there's maybe 100 people here. Two other figures enter, notable by their by the way that everyone stands as they enter. You see first wearing black robes. She carries a long staff of white wood, and she bangs it with every step. And next to her walks a man, thin, with long red hair and a red beard. He's tall but not burly. He doesn't look like a warrior, although you can gauge by the reactions of the people who are standing that this is the Jarl, Gunnar Gunnarsson. They make their way to the bottom of the theater where you're sitting or standing, and the Jarl sits in a stone throne that has had like furs and stuff placed on top of it. And he sits, and there's silence. The woman steps forward, and she bangs her staff. She says, Tyr, lawgiver and war maker, wolf maimed and wolf killer, lord of truth and judge of speech, we call you to watch over this thing and ensure justice be done. Visla, this beautiful man stands before you, and he opens his hands, his arms, waiting for you to embrace him.
Few things in life or in death are given freely. What is the cost?
The acceptance of the blessing.
And what is the blessing? Is it only that I and the child shall live?
You ask many questions for a woman at the gate of death.
I have never feared death.
The blessing will ensure that you live and are healthy and whole. The blessing will ensure that the child lives and is healthy and whole. You can know that by rebuking this offer, this is the future that awaits you. Loneliness, despair, no view of the rainbow bridge, no mead with the All-Father. And for your child, what can it expect if you will not fight for it?
I would die for my daughter. But I would not have her live if it meant that her soul was forfeit. I would know your name.
I have a great many names. Gift giver. You can call me. Or skein weaver. Or fate speaker. Any you wish.
I accept.
The man smiles, this great smile, and it almost blinds you. The brightness of it and warmth like fills you. As he like steps forward and embraces you.
Wisla feels the warmth, the sensation returning to her fingertips and to her toes, and then it's hot. It's almost burning. She doesn't care.
On the top of the mountain, the woman steps forward and she says, "You stand accused of murder in the street. Do not tolerate such in Vyrmhold. 5 are dead by your hand on the street of steel." And she looks around and she says, "Who will vouch for this?" And there's like 7 or 8 people who will like stand unafraid and say that they do. What have you to say in your defense?
We were attacked by those 5 on our way back towards our ship. They came out of the crowd in the streets, weapons drawn and made to attack us. We sustained our own injuries, and they meant to kill. I believe they were sent by enemies of ours to keep us from leaving. We protected ourselves. It's unfortunate that they ended up dead, but we saw no choice.
These dead, they were sworn to a Jarl, Uthal Colbrander of Iskolfin. Were you aware of this?
I had presumed that to be the case, yes.
She leans in to the Jarl, who says something quietly in her ear. She nods. The Jarl suggests that you pay a weregild. Who here knows the status of these dead, she asks, and there's a bunch of people who shout, "Scum! Reaver scum!" Others will say, "They are Huskars, they are warriors." And there's like shouting of people from different parts of the city. Some calling them scum and reavers, others defending them as warriors. The woman looks down. Based upon the gear on them, the cleanliness of their bodies, the dirt under their nails, the matting of their hair, the thinness of their frame, we can conclude that these were indeed Iskolfin. Nonetheless, their lives were taken unlawfully
If this must be settled as such, name the price.
She looks to the assembled crowd, and she leans down to the Jarl again, and she nods. You will decide the price of each life. And there's like chats that break out among the audience, all the people standing around. Some of them calling for like ridiculous prices or like shouting down, while others are like talking amongst themselves, basically. You have a couple of minutes in the din to chat to each other if you so wish.
If Phelim's gonna like turn into the others while the arguing is going on around them. Look, I'm not much too happy about having to settle in this manner, but we don't have the time nor the resources to sit here and fight. Say we just give them what they ask, and we move along back to our primary mission. Unless there's any other ideas. Seems the wisest.
Hauk will say, we weren't even involved, we didn't kill anybody, and now we have to pay? We have to pay?
I will see that it comes from my funds first as necessary. I'll only pull from the coffers what's needed. No
You like
man's
what-
personal pay will be affected. I accept the responsibility.
He inclines his head. You are ever a breaker of rings, Karl. The shouting kind of dies down. And one sort of older man will stand. 50 per. The woman nods slowly. She looks at Jarl Gunnar, who just ever so slightly inclines his head. For the unlawful taking of these 5 lives, you will pay 50 hacks over for each life taken, with 10 of which will go to Jarl Gunnar for the crimes done in his city, 20 of which will go to Jarl Uthal Colbrander for the loss of his warriors, and 20 of which will go to families of the deceased. If you find this unreasonable, you're welcome to argue. You also have the right to a trial by combat if you so wish. And she gives this brief look to Hakon.
I take no issue with paying our good Jarl here for the troubles, nor do I for the families, but Uthal is an enemy. Paying him such an amount seems dangerous.
Law. It is the law. You have taken from Uthal a source of income, and you must repay him for such. Your squabbles up in the frozen north are not our concern. These are the laws here.
Phelim frowns. Fine. By your laws, then, we will follow.
You can almost hear like some snickering from the pirates, who are like shaking their heads like they don't believe it. You know, pay Uthal. What about the rest of you? How do you feel about this?
The only thing that Feidhlem would hear is he would off to his shoulder, his right shoulder, where Sigrid stands. He would just hear a tsa, not loud enough to carry across the room, but loud enough for Feidhlem to hear.
If you do not have the requisite hack silver, we can take it in debt paid. We will send a ship to collect. Otherwise, trial by combat still stands open to you.
I have the funds. If you'll allow me to collect what's missing from my ship, I can have it for you immediately.
You can see some of the people in the audience like, oh, I don't believe that this man has that kind of money. Very well. We will send Hakan and some of the guards with you to escort you to your ship, whereupon you will deliver the 250 hack silver. If there is no dispute, she says, and looks around. Nobody in the audience says anything. She looks to your direction. This is an Alfing. All are welcome to speak.
Sigverker's been looking up at the representation of Tyr this entire time. And he turns to regard Gunnar. He's still got the crimson in his beard and on his teeth, staining them as he looks up. He says, was it not Gunnar Gunnarsson, first of his name to take the title of High Jarl and King, that proclaimed, with law our land shall rise, that it will perish with lawlessness?
Gunnar looks up. He's got these piercing green eyes. Was?
Wise words he spoke. And it's not my place nor my will or intention to dispute them, for I believe he had the right of it. But might it also be reasoned that with honour too our land shall rise, but it will perish with dishonour? And might it also be reasoned that an attack, nay, an ambush, such as the one we were subjected to, is not only dishonourable, but also against the law of the land? Why should Uful benefit from any payment when he has brought the laws into disrepute?
You can see Gunnar's piercing eyes look at you and kind of process it. You can see in the crowd there are quite a few people nodding. It has ever been the case that for the death of a man, a weregild is paid so that his family and those he is sworn to can continue and do not suffer too gravely from the loss of life. Although he says it kind of quietly, he doesn't tend to look in many directions. He's looking down. Your man speaks well. Is this your opinion too, Karl?
It is.
Well, crime has been committed. Some sort of justice must be meted out. What then do you suggest? And again, this is like an elf thing, which means that anyone can speak. Like if there was a little kid here, they would be willing to be allowed to speak. Like everyone has a right to speak at this thing.
But perhaps if payment must be made, it should be made to the families and to yourself for the laws broken in your land. But the one who truly is responsible for the blood spilled in the streets of Vyrmhold should receive no compensation.
The woman looks around to see what the people think of that. You can see some of them shaking their heads, like it is right that the Jarl who has been wronged here and who has lost warriors, which are expensive, should be paid. A lot of them seem to think.
Will there be no punishment towards Uthal for initiating such conflict in the first place? Seems unfair in my eyes, as my friend here has said, that we should pay him for the honor of nearly him killing us.
Uthal is not here. There's no evidence to say that he ordered this attack.
If my men are responsible for my actions, his men are responsible. He's responsible for his men's, as you've said.
You yourself were in the combat.
If I
Uthal
weren't,
is
would that
far
make me
away.
less responsible?
You are here to answer. There is none of Uthal's people here to answer. We searched, but they are gone. If they were here, they would be held accountable for their actions also, and would be required to pay you.
Seems strange that justice, spoken so highly, is so easily evaded.
Gunnar frowns at that. The woman smiles. We have sent ships. Murder does not go unanswered.
Sigrid just takes a half step forward. She clears her throat. There's not anywhere in the civilized lands that does not know of the great Jarl Gunnar Gunnarsson. Many speak highly of him and his peoples. Is this the Gunnar they speak of that would have people butchered in the street, unable to defend themselves? We asked for no trouble. These men brought us upon us. But yet it seems we are expected to lay down. Is that what Gunnar wants for his people and those that visit his great lands? There's wisdom in offering hack silver to those that were slain, their families. But should not the man who, I don't know if he employs them. But what burden should he bear? This does not seem right to me. It does not seem just. We speak of tear, but I see no justice here.
If I may, here's what I would offer. We will pay today, now, for troubles to you and your city, and to the families. When Uthal is brought and pays, we will pay alongside him at the same time to each other for the crimes.
Gunnar sits back in his chair. Hmm. Bold of you to throw my name around such here in this place. Bold indeed. But you're right. Been injustice here. The families must be cared for. That is clear. And the insult given to this city must be paid for also. When we bring Uthal here, we will bring you here. There's a debt of justice to be paid still. You can see like some people in the crowd are like, what the fuck is this? Like, just make them pay the money. And then some of them are like, yeah, that seems reasonable.
I'll agree to those terms.
So the woman puts the terms to the crowd, and then there's another discussion that has to happen where everyone decides what they're going to vote and what they're going to say. And there's like, blah, 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 once again, as people like break out into conversations, you can see people like standing up and like shouting at people across the thing. And like at one stage, somebody like stands up and walks across to somebody and like grabs them by the front of the shirt. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's getting heated. People seem to be pretty incensed by this. But again, there's enough noise that if you wanted to say something to each other, you could.
Sigrid would return to her spot, but she would lean to the back of Feidhlem's ear and say, Karl, you must challenge Uthal. You must prove you are right. Under the eyes of the gods. You know this. And she would just kind of linger for maybe a second or two before she would kind of step back.
We did not sail all the way down here for nothing. It's been the purpose all along.
The crowd dies down. The same man steps forward, and they've basically agreed to the terms that you'll pay 30 for each, 10 of which will go here to Gunnar for each man, 20 of which will go to the families, with the rest to be paid when Uthal is brought here to pay also. Gunnar looks salty about this decision, but it's not his decision. It's a thing, and everyone has an equal voice, and there is a vote. The woman just has this sort of smile on her face.
Feidhlem would smile contentedly as well, with the money not going directly to the enemy, hopefully before they have a chance to settle things. But he'll gladly pay up the 150 that's owed of him at the moment.
So the thing is broken up. and you'll be like escorted down to your ship by Hakon and his boys, where you can like pay them the money. But as you're kind of standing there and the thing is like breaking up or whatever, Gunnar will like approach. He's tall but kind of thin. He doesn't look really like a warrior, which is odd because you always hear people talk about Gunnar as a warrior as being this like terrifying warrior jarl. But maybe he just has a big castle. And he says, Karl, what's your foreign name?
Feidhlem.
Feidhlem. Feidhlem. Interesting. Well, you've chosen a fight with Uthal Coldbrander, have you?
Yes. Well, it seems he has chosen a fight with me. I merely mean to take it equally to him in return. But fate has seen its enemies.
You know, here in the south, many simply pay a tribute. Did you consider that? Looking at your band and the warriors with you, you think to challenge Uthal Coldbrander?
We bring more men with us than these.
Indeed. Which men?
Phelan's like not sure if he wants to say or not. I guess out of like he would probably know. Like I'm sure it would be like what kind of reputation would saying that he hired Ogvai bring?
So it's well known that the Gunnar line fucking hates Jotunnets. They don't like them at all. Obviously, Gunnar tolerates Ogvai being here. Hiring Ogvai, I don't know. I guess Feidhlem wouldn't know, so you wouldn't know necessarily.
We've visited some of the mercenary crews in the city. We'll bring some of them back with us. The deal's already been settled.
He smiles. And was it the Spear Brothers? Very reputable company.
Any chance of making an insight just to see if he's playing with Feidhlem?
Sure.
I imagine I'm not right up close, but I imagine Sigrid's close enough that she can hear.
Yep.
All right. I don't know.
Or perhaps the War Boys. They are untrained, I suppose, but they are very effective.
With all respect, Jarl, unless you have need to know, my business has been settled and it is my own.
It's Ogvai.
Feidhlem doesn't confirm or deny. He just kind of looks at him. Like I just said, I'm not going to say. So I'm not going to say.
Must be desperate indeed to hire that maniac. Whew. I only imagine what it's like living out there on the frontier, struggling to grow even a bean. Barely enough to feed your warriors, coming all the way down here to find true warriors, finding them unwilling to serve you and hiring Ogvai.
Most of these warriors that you see with me now did not come from my lands. They have already joined us as part of this.
Indeed. And from
chosen to join.
what great hold are these warriors from? These heroes of legend with their knives and their clubs, resplendent. And his eyes lock for a second on Scum, and like on some of the other like pirate crew that you have with you.
And tell me, Jarl, with your generous suggestions and advice, if you were me, would you pay a tribute? Live in shame, stepped on by Iskolfin? Somehow I doubt you would.
If I was you, I would have made a great many mistakes in a very long line, I suppose, to get to where you are. There's fire in you, Karl Feidhlem. Feidhlem? Is that correct? Barbaric language. Nonetheless, I can see that there's something in you. It's interesting. If you live through this thing with Uthal, we should talk. I've often heard that in the lands of the Tuatha, the Tuatha, that there's great wealth.
There's more gold and steel in one city than you would find in half of Iskloft.
Indeed, but the mists are thick. It's very hard to find that place. It's very hard to find those cities. But perhaps a man who is from there, who calls that place his home, could lead us to great wealth. Perhaps.
Perhaps if I am fortunate enough to survive coming encounters, then perhaps a deal can be arranged.
I'll prove your usefulness, defeat Uthal, win that war, that skirmish, that border skirmish up in the frontier. Get away with that, become successful, and come back down to me and we'll see if we can talk. Until then, pay the money, get the fuck out of my city. And he'll turn and walk away.
Vyrmhold will just kind of scan across the others. Well, unless there's anything else, we have much more important business to attend to than standing around a Gunnar court.
You're marched back down through the city, down those fucking stairs, across that bridge, down more stairs, and down hills and fucking stone paved streets, past wealth beyond imagining, in the little principality of Ingvik. Back to the shop where you pass, the woman still chanting over Havisla, although you think you see Havisla's hand twitch for a moment before you're like ushered all the way down to your ship where the armed men and Hakon wait impatiently for you to get the money.
Yeah, Feidhlem would, once they're back at the ship, he would pay up, as promised, mostly from his own purse, but dipping slightly into the funds to cover the extra portions.
You'll see Hakon like open the chest and like have a look, and he'll like pull out a piece and just like make sure that it's real. And he'll like dig to the bottom to make sure that it's not just like silver on top and shite underneath. Obviously, like not trusting this wealth. Fuck me. All right. And he closes the chest and like hands it to one of the guys. Right, you heard Gunnar. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, Phelan would just kind of nod as the other men went away and just turn back to his crew. All right. We have more important things to attend to back home. Once Avisla is ready, we'll leave. Get the ship prepared in the meantime.
Hi, Karl.
So as you're making preparations and stuff to leave and like getting resupplied and all this sort of stuff, repairs have been made to the ship. There will be a representative from Ogvai's bastard saying that they'll be ready to leave in a week, and they will follow you to the port of Jarl Gudmundsson, which is where you'll have to wait, or where you'll have to send someone to meet them, basically. Ingvik doesn't really have a port, and like none of the ports are like decent in that province, really, unless you want to give them somewhere else that they can land. Like you wanted to tell them to land in one of the villages.
I don't have the map in front of me, so it's hard to remember.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to land them at the fort,
Yes,
Bjornsholm? Does that
it would.
connect out to the ocean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the plan is to take the fight out to Uthal pretty quickly after we get back. So I think just having them straight up, that would lessen a lot of the walking, save a lot of the time. So if possible,
Sure.
he would lead them there.
Okay, so you can like sketch a little bit of the map and like put an X at the point where Bjornsborg is, and the bastard from Ogvai's crew will like look at it, look at you, look at it. All right, and he'll like fold it up and put it into a pocket. See you in a couple of weeks, boss. Another few hours would go by before Havisla would wake. You'd see this woman, like she's like blackened with soot, but there's like sweat rolling down her face. She's been like dancing and singing and chanting over your body for hours and hours. Although as you like wake, she like moves back from you and she like regards your body almost with fear in her face, it looks like.
Where am I?
Vyrmhold.
And those who brought me here?
She shrugs. Although she takes another step away.
What troubles you? Why are you afraid?
I have some skill, but not this.
Visla's confused and she looks down to her legs and her arms and her hands.
All present and accounted for. There's like a dull throb in your left leg, which was almost severed. There's a scar there, but no, like you can move it.
Visla tests the joint. Looks at the woman. Perhaps you have underestimated your skills.
No. No. No, I spoke to you already about the skeins of fate with this child and this. And she like backs away and she spits. The coin has been paid. It's best you leave.
Aye. Good fortune to you.
Her eyes are wide as she like backs further into the shop. The guards outside will immediately apprehend you as you like walk out. Like, where the fuck do you think you're going? And will like usher you down to the ship.
Wisla is walking under her own power, a little unsteady, but seemingly very little worse for the wear.
So maybe you down at the ship, you're waiting for maybe the guts of like 20 minutes before Avisa just like walks down the pier, seemingly unscathed.
Scom will look up from like a coil of rope that he's just set down, wiping sweat from his brow. And as he like exhales, his mouth will just kind of stay agape for a few moments as he sees Visla walk up relatively unscathed. But if her gaze catches his, he'll wither and find some plank to caulk or errands to run about the ship.
Yeah, Phelim's eyebrow would just kind of raise, seeing Hibislo walking, given the state that she was just in. You look surprisingly well.
I seem to be. I thank you, Karl. And the woman said that the price had been paid. I presume it was you.
Yes, it's been taken care of. It is a small price to pay to keep such abilities around and in good health. We'll need them.
I feel confident that I shall be hale and hearty for the rest of our journey.
Our business in the city is done. We will be leaving as soon as the ship is ready. There's a crew that we've hired that will be joining us as we return.
And so you get onto the ship and row yourself out to the ocean, unfurl the sails, and say goodbye to Vyrmhold. Probably glad to see the end of it or the back of it, and sail for home. And we'll look at that after we take a very quick break. I'm going to make some coffee. We'll be back in like 5. I am back. How do you say that? Rauthor Dreki, I guess. So that's Gunland. Popular
like
holiday destination.
I don't like it. Not recommended. I'm yelping that one low.
Yeah, they're getting a 1 star for sure.
And a strongly worded comment.
It's like interesting that like Lionel and Chex and Nico were all in the campaign where the original Gunnar was, and like that's not what the original Gunnar was like, but also it is, which I think is.
Oh yeah, there was
That
definitely
crafty
elements.
bastard.
There was definitely elements of that Gunnar. The old Gunnar probably would have just friggin' bitch slapped us.
Yes. Yep. Like I don't know how much the old Gunnar would have like relied on the thing. He would have been making his own decisions.
Yep. I don't
I
think
think that
the
kind of
re-
makes sense though. Like the old Gunner, like everything that he ended up with, like he earned. Whereas
Yes.
like this guy is kind of like born into this more or less of just like he's Gunner, so he gets all the treasures. It's like I think that would color your perspective a lot differently.
Call me crazy, but I'm willing to bet, even though that's not the original Gunner, I'm willing to bet it's not this cushy. I walk into this. I think that there's probably a lot more to that Jarl story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's got plenty going on his own, but he did get a nice head start from being who he was.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Really enjoyed giving you shit for being a foreigner.
Which I mean, that's what really pissed me off of him being like, "Oh, well, what? Like, are you just gonna? Why don't you just pay tribute? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that?" It's like, well, some of us aren't born with like pockets lined with gold, buddy. Some of us have to earn our shit.
But if anything, Jarl Gunnar is an example of what you can do with sacrifice and hard work.
Right. The original
Because-
Gunnar would never have paid a tribute.
Yeah.
Like, I think we frequently refuse to pay tribute to Floki the Fat.
So don't even. That triggers me, man. That dude triggers me.
We all back?
Well, if no one else has been
Think
answered,
so.
I'll say yes.
Fucking hell.
I think so.
One man show
not
tonight.
sure.
Isn't it? Jesus.
Tough crowd.
I'm not sure if Nico has made it back yet, but the rest of us are here.
To be fair, I'm unconscious for a lot of the session.
Yep.
I blame Chex. He's usually so verbose.
I don't blame checks at all.
He fucking saved you guys.
Yeah. I think that he
Yeah,
comes
that
in
was a
just
good
at the
move.
right moments.
It's a nice, cool 100 hack silver that we didn't have to pay that we
Yep.
would have otherwise. So I'm not gonna give him any shade.
That is like historically how it would work. Is like the loss of resources to like the Jarl would also be accounted for, which I think is interesting. Like you kill a guy, but you also have to pay his boss because he doesn't work for him anymore. It's like weird.
It makes sense. And if it was any other Jarl, I'd be like, yep, just take it. But like literally like paying the guy we're about to sail to war with is just like, oh God.
So I think the takeaway from that is if you're like in Gunland and someone attacks you, you don't butcher them. You just beat them senseless. And I imagine there's probably not much of in the way of tribute at that point.
It's the killing that's the problem.
Yeah, it's the killing part that got.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough though to non-lethally fend off people who are trying to kill you. Like
Yeah.
that's a bad fight.
Ineffective way to save your own life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you set sail from Vyrmhold. I assume you're trying to get back by the quickest route as opposed to going like circumnavigating Iskloft. You can go through the middle, which is both safer and quicker. So I assume that's the route you want to take.
Yeah, Phelan wouldn't necessarily be in a huge hurry because it's still a couple of days before the bastards will join them, but he would still take the safest route anyways, and it just happens to be the quicker.
Sure. So you can sail through the center of Iskloft past Cloncastellin, which is the king city, what was once the king city, the Jotun king's city, when they still had an empire here. You sail past those like broken islands, and you can see the king's moot as you sail past this like collection of ancient Jotun ships, like hundreds of feet long, that were like smashed by Thor's hammer and now create a sort of like an arena or like an amphitheater where the Althing for all of Iskloft happens, which hasn't been called in hundreds of years. It's where the king gives proclamations and things of that nature, although the king himself has been quiet of late. So you can sail past that and past the king's castle. The one remaining Jotun tower that stands here, hundreds of feet into the air, an enormous castle that was just one part of what was once the Jotun's castle here. You can sail past that and then through the straits leading out to the ocean, at which point you can turn north, heading back towards Ingvik. So you've been underway at this stage for about 4 days. So I'm going to use some supply rules, which we invented yesterday. Let me see where I put those. You're going to go from well supplied, which you were when you left, down to the next one, which was supplied, which means no effect at the moment. This is a new rule for those of you who weren't in the hangout, which kind of like abstracts how much stuff you have and how well you're feeling. So it's like your food, it's how much, like your clothing, your general sort of sense of well-being and stuff. And so the longer that you're away from being resupplied, you get increasingly miserable. But yeah, so you would have gone through enough supplies at this stage to be no longer well supplied, but just supplied. Well supplied gives you bonuses. So you're sailing up this this coast past Asploth, and you yeah, you're underway for quite a long time. The coast of Asploth is not the most interesting. There's lots of like villages, all of whom will like sound horns as you go by. These people are used to being raided, and many of them are like well able for reavers, or like very much understand what to do when reavers come. So you see many of them like blowing horns and getting ready, and like sometimes you'll even see men like gathering on the beach and like forming shield walls as you sail by, just in case. It's the cold sets in pretty quickly as you like start to make your way back up towards Ingvik. Like the breeze gets much colder and it turns to wind and then into gales. The waves get much more intense and seasickness starts to creep in for those of you who suffer from it. And sleep is much harder to find at night as the waves are more intense. It rains a lot more as well. as you make your way up the coast back towards your home. Gone are the verdant sort of hills and warmth of Sodderfjord and Valleyland. Gone is the sort of like the broken wind, like wind broken by the mountains of Gunland. Now it's just open, and you remember what it's like to live in this part of the world. Along that journey, is there any conversations you would like to have?
Unless ordered otherwise, Scom would have made a point to scuttle up to the prow of the Rauderdrecker and take the prow beast off when we pass Althbloth villages that I assume we're not intending to like reave or scare. So don't scare away like the good spirits that we may well need now that we're in our homeland proper. But he'd remain like mute for most of the way and try and avert, not avert, but like steer clear of Wiesla. Because she terrifies him.
Yeah, you would see as the kind of days turn to just over a week of Isla that your leg is fine, despite the like awful wound that you took and that it was like barely hanging on. You can almost only vaguely remember like being stabbed repeatedly in the knee, although it feels like nothing happened at this stage. And yeah, it just feels not even sore anymore after about a week.
Wisla turns this over in her mind and is continually pondering the blessing she accepted and hoping it was the right choice. But as she stands with firm feet on the deck of the ship as it rides across the waves, she doesn't regret anything.
At some point in the journey, Phelan would actually approach Sigrid. Say, Sigrid, you've always been quick to offer advice in the past, some of which I've taken, some of which I've not. But now we are heading into war. You may not agree with how we've prepared so far, but I've made my choices. But if you have any insights on how to proceed into the battles ahead, I'd be glad to hear your thoughts.
You would probably come across her having one of those reprieves from having to row the oar. She would think about it. Truth be told, I'm not certain. The Jotunite is a fearsome thing. Let him be the point of the spear. And she would, she's not looking at you when she says that, but as she finishes, she looks toward you.
Yes, it will be an important part of the overall plan. I plan to take the battle to Uthil, not to wait around. Once we land and the mercenary crew lands with us, we'll set out. If anything comes as far as recommended plan of attack moving into the northern lands, I'd be happy to hear it.
I will give you the counsel I think makes the most sense, Karl.
And of course, I will take it into consideration as far as I think makes sense, as we've done.
Yeah, she probably would seem a bit off to you, and she probably has seemed a bit off to you, Feidhlem. More distant since we've left Gunlin, because it would be typical for her to offer advice. I imagine oftentimes she's offering advice to you through this whole journey. Like you said, sometimes you take it, and sometimes you don't. But yeah, this would be atypical to Sigrid. You see that she's more aloof, avoiding you. Every once in a while, you probably catch that she shoots glances to Visla, but says nothing to her.
Your business is, of course, yours to disclose or not. By the time we're in battle, at the least, once you in your usual spirits, you won't be much use on a battlefield. You can't talk.
Mm.
If there's anything you need from me to facilitate that, let me know. Otherwise, think whatever ails you over. Ready for battle.
I'll speak my piece now, Karl. And she would like look to wherever Visla is on the ship. It does not sit well with me, Karl. The witch. You saw her leg just as plainly as I. No one heals like that. But yet she walks. Dark magics. And she would spit.
The magic of the witches, I know, has strange ways and strange effects. I know that I am perhaps more comfortable with it than most. We need her and her connection with the Allfather in the coming battles, her rituals and her knowledge. Whatever brought such things about, I'm grateful for them.
She would shake her head as you're saying that, Feidhlem, and she'd say, nothing good will come of this. And she would be saying this from her own personal knowledge. Dark bargains were made. If you must use her, use her. But you cannot let her live beyond this.
Sails! One of the pirates. He's like looking. Karl, sails!
Scom's going to rush, knocking over like a bucket, move towards the gunway and like keen out over the edge, putting his hand up to ward off glare, if there is, to try and see if he can like discern anything more than sails, like imagery, build, numbers, for a 15 perception check.
Yeah, you can see as you like squint with your good eye, black sails with the dragon emblazoned. It's a symbol that you know well. Uthel's. Not his personal ship. You think it's not big enough, but definitely his soldiers.
Black sails, sporting Uthel's Drekia.
I knew he would try something. Ready, men! Uthel's ship approaches and we will not be stopped here. Prepare yourselves.
you see a bunch of the men like begin to like bang their shields against the side of the ship, or like clang axes and stuff like that as they like start to get ready. You hear them like intermittently shouting, "Tyr, Odin!" As they like start to get into position. You get everybody on oars that can get there. Are you going to try and attack, or are you going to try and move away?
I presume it'd be pretty obvious that they're heading towards us with the intention of harm.
It actually doesn't look like that. It looks like they were sailing around here, like they were coming from the coast, and you have like more happened across them as opposed to they were hunting you.
I think it would still be perhaps too opportune a moment. Yeah, Feidhlem would like as quick as he could go to the others and see if there was an objection, and unless there was, he would order towards the ship with the intention of taking it.
Okay. Can one of you give me a sailing check? Does anyone have it?
That's an 18.
Okay. So Sigrid, you've been on your share of raids, and you're like watching the waves and like the wind, and you decide, or you like set the sails properly. You're like pulling ropes as hard as you can, and you catch the wind, and there's like a full billow on the sails, and you begin to through the water towards, like skipping over the waves. There's like salt spraying up on you as you're rowing. As you begin to like move towards this ship, you can see that they have set their sails as well with an intent to not fight. It looks like they're trying to get away. Although they're not, because their ship is smaller than yours, they're not, in like a straight line with the wind. You are faster, and so they're starting to realize that. And so you see them like start to pull oars and like move their ship into a position to like receive you. How do you want to hit their ship?
This is where I'm a little weak in Viking
That's
knowledge.
so fun.
Is it?
Yeah.
Would we ram them?
You certainly
From the
could.
side
Yeah.
with,
If you want to board them, yeah. Otherwise, you could like just try and sail alongside them and just hammer them with spears and axes and stuff, like throw them. But it's really up to you. You have a bigger ship, so you think you have more people, but historically, Uthel's people are like excellent at this, you know?
So I guess Sigrid would, as she's maybe bellowing orders and herself just tugging on some of these lines attached to the sail, she would yell to Feidhlem, one, we don't have enough men to do another ship, do we?
No.
Right. Okay, so she strike that. She's just going to help position the ship to ram it. So hopefully it'll take on water, forcing them to fight for their lives, I guess.
Okay. So give me another sailing check, please.
This was a 13.
Okay, so you're gathering all this speed and this momentum, and the wind is like behind you, and so you're really going fast. And every time you like into a wave, everyone's like got to hold on pretty intensely as the speed is really picking up. And you can hear all the lads like screaming like "Odin!" as they like row as hard as they can. And you like are catching up to them, and then they pull this maneuver off. It looks like they like have like dropped an anchor and have just done like a total like their ship almost like capsizes, but it doesn't quite, and so they like turn sidelong so that your ram is more of a grind alongside their ship. The they've pulled their oars in. These guys are obviously excellent sailors and reavers and are used to longship combat. While your crew is not really in the same way, because a lot of your crew are just like farmers from Ingvik. So they pull off this maneuver where they like turn the ship alongside, and you see immediately like ropes come across with like, and they like begin to like pull and heave so that the ships will like move alongside each other. And you see already people leaping across into your ship, and we roll initiative.
So real quick, because I'm a fancy new war leader, one of my passive abilities, one of my Herseer tactics, we're always ready. So everybody's going to get a bonus to their initiative roll equal to my charisma modifier, which is a +4. So add 4 to your initiative. Real quick, did we decide, Lloyd, with those abilities if they affect me too or just my team?
Just allies.
Okay.
Yep, they don't affect you. Jesus, 27.
What's the chances within the time the ships take to reach each other? It would have been 10 minutes.
Yes. So from the time you spotted the sails to now, absolutely.
Okay. Do you mind if I kind of retcon that I'd started the ritual?
Not at all, because like the lads were all screaming and shouting and getting ready anyway. So I think it makes sense. Sigvik or Feidhlem, which one of you goes first?
You can go first. My dex is trash anyways.
Okay, so you can hear the people on your crew like screaming Odin, Tyr, Freyr, all these gods, and like singing songs. You can hear Sigfrigur above them all, like bellowing and singing. And you see like as the ships collide, you can see some of these guys like are climbing over. Many of them wearing wolf pelts, but Scum, you're the first to act.
I'll rush up to the line of our men about to like receive Uthals, and I'll activate my repel reavers to get a +1 on my AC standing next to allies, because I'm used to repelling reavers. I'll wait there, but I'm not screaming a god's name like anyone else. I'm just like screaming, and my voice is almost breaking, and hot piss drenches the deck of the Red Dragon as I see these men rushing towards me in proper like pitched battle. And I'll take mechanically the dodge action. So I'm shaking, screeching next to other warriors while death comes, but I'm pretty solid defensively. Let's see how I go. That's it for me.
Okay, perfect. So you get yourself ready, and you're like screaming, and the first man across into the boat, a nightmare to look upon. His like skin is like painted black, almost all of it, except for like sweat marks around his eyes and his mouth. He's got like this wolf pelt on and some like light armor underneath, and in each hand he has these like fucking I mean, you'd barely even call them like blades. They're like butcher's weapons, almost like cleavers and things like that. He like leaps across and like lands on the deck and like and he's gonna like run around where you are. He like sees you and some of the others like getting ready, and he like immediately like runs past that and into the back, and he's like searching for whoever's in charge of this operation. I think he'd find Feidhlem without too much issue with his big golden helmet, and so he's gonna like run over there and try and gut you before this thing kicks off. And this could be unpleasant. He roars out something in Norska. I don't know if you guys speak Norska. Do you, Feidhlem?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm not. Okay, so you'll hear him say, Sigvicker, you'll hear him say, basically like, this is the fucking one, this is the fucking one, this is the fucking one. Like he's just like chanting that almost, like this is his target, this is his treasure. And he is gonna rush over there and try and shank the fuck out of you. So because he acts before you, he's gonna get advantage. Oh, it's so bad. So this guy is a night hunter, which means he gets the crit on 19 because he marked you. He got a 19 and a 19. I shit you not. So this is going to be real unpleasant. So you'll take 14 from the first. Ooh. And 21 from the second. He's going to use his Night Hunter ability, which is he can cause both of his attacks to hit at the same time. So you'll take all of that damage at once. Does that system shock you?
Yes.
Okay, roll me a d10, please.
10.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
You died, right?
You're dead. Fucking hell. All right. Fuck. Okay, so you guys see this like wolf clad man like walk around into the back of the ship. He's like literally prowling, and you can see like Feidhlem. And he just like pushes past one of the lesser warriors, and as Feidhlem is like bellowing an order, he just like takes one of the knives and like plunges it like down into here, into where the collarbone is, and then the second one like from the other side, and just begins like sawing and pulling until you hear like the crack of a clavicle, and then finally like pulls them out, and there's just like this blood pouring from Feidhlem, and he just then lets out this howl. Fuck. Okay, Sigrid, your turn.
Sigrid tries to react, but she's just not close enough. So many times before, she's been able to impose her shield or get her weapon in there to keep the Karl safe, but she's too slow. She knows she's not going to make it there in time. She bellows in anguish as the blood just kind of sprays out across the deck, hitting her shield. She's just going to try to butcher into the back of this guy.
Sorry, one of the other effects of that thing is that allies who see it have to make a wisdom saving throw. Can you do that, please?
That would be me. Oh, shit. That's a 6.
Everybody needs to make it.
Non-natural 20.
11.
Okay, so then Scum and Sigrid, you are frightened of this wolfman. There's like this deep-seated fear that comes in as you see him just like butcher your Karl with like one strike, just.
Cool. In that case, let me retcon a little bit of what Sigrid does. So everything up to like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it. But then as the brutal attack just kind of just eviscerates Feidhlem, and as the blood just kind of sprays out, she literally staggers back, trying to get away from this thing that can't be human. And she'd probably scream just as much. Yeah. So I'm still able to take a defense action, I believe,
yep,
right?
You just have a disadvantage on attacks against this guy, and you can't move willingly towards him.
Right. So she would move back. So okay, so I could still hold an action. So if another enemy comes at me, she could strike out at them, but just not closer to this dude. Yeah. Okay, good. That's what she'd do. She would definitely back away. And we're on a ship. How far can she go?
Yeah, exactly. Can't really run around any corners. I'm kind of stunned that that happened still. I'm like trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Okay. You see a Reaver captain, obviously a Reaver captain, move his way onto the deck and like lands with a thud. He's wearing like light armor, but he has this like leather face mask that covers like the top half of his face. You can see there's like a serpent that's been like whatever this action is into the leather. And he has this this brutal axe in one hand and a shield in the other. He's going to like rush forward towards the first person he sees, which is Scum, and he's going to try and batter you. Now you dodge Scum, is that right?
Yeah, disadvantage and AC 20 at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, so he comes up to you and you've got like the shield held, maybe in both hands even. He just poof, poof, and nothing is able to get through.
Yeah, I don't have a shield actually. I'm not like
okay.
can't use one effectively, but yeah, just like with an axe, it's more like dodging aside than armor that stops me getting hit from him, I'd say.
Yeah. He's like trying to swing it. You're too quick. And yeah, he'll like look around, he'll bellow something again in Norska. They're on the fucking ropes, boys, which is what Sigverker would hear. A larger man wearing a wolf skin, this one totally naked, apart from the wolf pelt, leaps on. He's got no weapons, just his fists. He's going to rush forward after you, Sigrid, seeing you like isolated. You had a ready action, right, to attack?
He did, yes.
You can go ahead and do that.
Right. This great man would just see fear in this woman's eyes. And because she's so afraid, her first swing is just wide. And probably the second as well. It's an 11. Yeah. I mean, she just like fear.
Yeah, you're like trying to swing at this guy, but you're unable to do so. And he's going to like lash out, once with an elbow, once with a headbutt, and once with trying to bite you. He's just like everything he's got. Ooh, didn't do well. Does an 18 hit you?
No,
nope.
Lord.
Okay, so then all three of them, like the elbow, dong, into the shield. The claw is going to like smash against your helmet. And then he like tries to get in, but he like bites on the chain. But he's just like on top of you, like screaming and like baying like a wolf. Okay, Sigverker.
So hearing the howl go up from this war-painted man who's now standing over the prone body of Feidhlem, Sigverker responds in kind with a growl and a roar of his own. And it doesn't say it takes an action or a bonus action for the chooser of the slain. Is it just an incidental?
I'm not sure. What is it?
It's the mark. It's the
oh
mark
yeah.
like ability.
Okay. That's a good question. I don't have the answer to you right now. Where is it? What are you, bones?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should definitely be a bonus action.
Okay, so that's my bonus action, and I'm going to charge him and make 2 attacks.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, that's not going to do anything. The best I got was a 13.
Against the wolf guy, it's not going to do anything. No, it's going to miss.
Yeah.
So he's quick, and you can see it coming, and he like ducks under your strikes. It's just straight up dead. Like it's not even death saves. Okay. Climbing up the mast of their ship. There's a man. He's got like his legs wrapped around the crossbar where the sail is, and he's got a bow, and he's going to take a shot and try and fire down at you, Havisla. Every fucking game, this dice. He gets a 16.
That's a hit.
Okay. not great damage, but
Oh, but I didn't ask. Had we been on the sea long enough for me to regain most of my hit points?
oh, you would have been when you were healed. You would be fine.
Okay. Okay.
So you're going to take 8 piercing damage,
Okay.
and
Oh, there's an and.
yeah, and he says, and they quake. I need you to make me a strength save, please.
A strength save. Oh. No.
So the shot glances against your wrist, and you drop the spear. And it lands in front of you, but you have dropped it for now. Let's see. That was odd. Okay, Wisla.
Wisla grabs at her wrist and the slight cut there, but she kneels down and begins to, using some of the smear of blood, trace a pattern on the deck of the ship, and she pulls out a handful of herbs, and as she throws them onto this blood, there's this boom, and Sigverker and Sigrid and Feidhlem, if you were alive, and Vagnar, and I guess I get one more scrum as well, all gain a +1 to AC and 7 temporary hit points.
Okay, very nice. So you call out to the Allfather for assistance, and you feel his eye gaze down from Asgard. One of the Reavers leaps onto the ship. She's lightly equipped. She's got an axe in each hand, and she's going to rush forward to try and attack the first thing she sees, which is going to be Scum as well, with disadvantage. Nada. So again, you're just ducking and diving and maybe hiding behind some of the others as these strikes come. That's it. Vagnar, seeing Feidhlem fall, is going to rush over to Feidhlem's side and try and fucking shank the hell out of this guy. Yeah, I better do it. Got 2, isn't he? Okay. So Vagnar rushes up behind this guy as he's howling and is going to shove his say axe into the side of him. Okay, yeah, so he shoves it into the side of him, and the guy lets out almost like a canine yelp as he gets hit. Okay, back to the top. Scum.
I'm just going to draw a hand axe. So I've got an axe in one hand and a hand axe in the other while I'm fighting these 2 foes, and just swing wildly at both of them. Actually, not trying to attack, trying to parry their blows. I'm just going to use dodge again, stay right where I am, fighting amongst the mess of men. And as Wisla's spell falls upon me, the screeching kind of stops and goes more to a roar of defiance at incoming death. And I just see steel clashing, the boat roiling, and wolf pelts and blood. But I'll stay right where I am and do the same as before for now.
Okay, no problem. Ulf is going to turn around and try and strike at you, Sigverker. He will first call out, "It's you, it's you, it's you," and then he'll try and mess you right up. So 1 hit. You're going to take 13 piercing damage.
Okay, I'm going to use my reaction to D10 that.
Yep, no problem.
It only takes away 2.
Okay, Sigrid.
Cool. So she is going to try to fight off this great hulking man that looks more animal than man, and it probably doesn't help that she's already freaking pissed, scared. Yeah, that's a 10. That'll miss. And 18. Will that hit?
That'll hit.
All right, so that's not a very hard hit, but she will hit for 7 slashing.
Okay.
Now, do I get to make a save at the end of each of my turns to see if I stay frightened, or is it a timed event?
So it's because it's while you're within sight of the cause of your fear, you can't make the save. So until that guy is gone or dead, you can't.
Perfect. So she would continue. I mean, again, there's not anything behind these blows. She's hunkering more behind her shield and trying to maybe inch her way, like inches away from this thing that just slew her Karl. So,
okay. Orm. Let's see. Orm is going to. Yeah, that one's. He'll call out in Norska. Again, it's like guttural language. Although Sigverker will hear him say, Ulf, quickly! And Ulf is going to make an attack. But he misses. So he calls out, and the big man in front of you, naked with the wolf skin, like boom, smashes his elbow down into the top of your shield, but misses you, Sigrid. It's then his turn. He is going to go nuts upon you. Uh, 17 doesn't hit you, right? Okay. Well, he
my
crit
AC
you
is
once.
now my AC is now 20.
So you'll take 13 bludgeoning.
Okay.
And
so I have an iron rimmed shield that soaks a crit, does it not?
yep, you can use that if you like.
I would like to use it.
Okay, just mark that you've used it. I think you get 2 uses out.
Yeah.
Yep, so you'll take the damage. But you can see like this like hairline fracture. Like he slams his knee into the shield, just and there's like a sort of in some of the wood, but it saves you from the worst of it. That probably would have broken bones, you think. Okay, Sigverker.
But the damage was 11, right?
13, I think.
13, okay. Thank you.
Sigverker.
Sigverker with his cudgel brings it up in an upward swing of an arc. But it'll glance by, missing the first attack. But he keeps the momentum going and manages to swing down. It should hit for a 23.
Definitely.
It's only going to be 7 points of damage though.
Okay. You have another attack?
No, that was 2 of them. I missed the first one.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Let's see. Feidhlem. I don't know. What's his last moment?
As Feidhlem, like quicker than anything could even happen, suddenly he's found himself now here, and like the mist of the sea, and the delirium of being near death is kind of fading in and out. And he sees the mist part, and the green lands behind it, his homeland. And he can see like people waiting for him there as if they had been expecting him. And the like roars of the insanity around him kind of fades into a dull sensation. before it becomes silent. And he can hear the songs of his people back home drifting in his mind or in his ears. He's not quite sure what, before the mist comes back over, clouding his vision. And the song falls silent into nothing.
Rad. That was great. Let's do the grit check. Put some salt in that wound.
Yeah, closed my character sheet. It's a 13 on the die, and I know he has, I think it's like a +3 or 4
Okay.
grit.
Yep. So then the rest of you would see like that as Feidhlem's like knees buckle and hit the deck, and then he like falls forward. That he's got like this white knuckled grip on the weapon in his hand. Peace out, Feidhlem. Okay, Odd on the crossbar of the opposite ship that's like crazily like in the waves, wobbling. He's going to try and shoot down into the insanity that he can see. He's going to target you, Sigrid, but misses both arrows into the shield. One of them almost coming through the other side, but nonetheless just stuck in your shield. And Visla, good timing.
Visla, I think for the moment is going to pick up the spear and just hold it out. Who's around Feidhlem's body?
Sigverker is, Wagner is, and then the guy who killed him, Nothganger.
Okay, yeah, no, she's gonna try and throw the spear. Rage and anger blinding her as it clunks uselessly against the deck, but she can't believe that Feidhlem isn't moving. That's it.
Okay. Kel is going to make her attacks against Scum. FMD, that's terrible. Okay, so the first one, she like tries to get a good strike in, but as you like move to the side, it just like hits a bad angle against like the shield of one of the warriors behind you and off into the water. But then she strikes with a second, and you duck under it. She's unable to get a strike on you, Scum. Wagner is going to try and shank the ever-living shit out of Nothganger. And we'll just about manage it once. So he's bleeding heavily, this guy. You can see like Wagner is like stuck to knife wounds into him, and he's been clubbed by Sigverker, but he stands yet. Scum.
The same again. Dervish of axe blades, like trying to ward desperately one of these things from just cutting me down in its wake. I'm going to try to glance like through like the slits on my helm either side of me quickly as I'm like desperately parrying these blows. Are there crew still about like fighting against this black proud ship, or are we like quaking with Feidhlem's death and are men fleeing?
So you think you're probably lucky.
13 at the moment because of the helm.
Yeah, you think you're probably lucky that you're at sea and there's nowhere to flee. Really, there's nowhere to go. Like Feidhlem's death has obviously hit them hard, but the crew are like fighting because there's no other option. and like it seems like some of them are actually emboldened by it, like enraged by it.
Because they're backed into a corner.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they're fighting on. Yeah, in that case, I'll stay right where I am amongst these men either side of me, so I can use my repel reavers to just keep soaking these two, boringly enough, but really effectively.
Very
That's
effectively. Yep, no problem. Ulf is going to try and spend his last turn gloriously taking another one of you fuckers out. He's going to try and kill you, Sigverker. Doesn't crit you, but will hit you once. He will do 8 damage to you.
Okay, I'll reaction that again.
Yep. So he's got these like 2 sort of cleavers, and he like slashes out. Although you can see that his like movements are getting slower as he like bleeds more heavily. Okay, Sigrid.
So Sigrid, question: is Visla closer to Ulf, or is she at a different part of the deck?
I guess I haven't explained, but in my mind, you and Havisla are on opposite sides. It's you backed away, right, in one direction, and I mean, you could have backed towards her. It's just the way I imagined it in my mind.
All right. Well, I'm going to leave it up to you, Lloyd. You can tell which side. If I can't get, because what she'd like to do is disengage from this guy and run over near Havisla. But if she can't because he's blocking that because she won't go any closer, then she'll stay here and continue to fight this guy.
Okay, I'll roll percentile, see which side you're on.
Sounds good.
Havisla side.
Oh, excellent. So she's going to disengage. And so I imagine this big wolfskin berserker just kind of lunges and grabs, and she kind of like gets a glancing blow. She kind of skitters across the deck, but picks herself back up and makes it over, like running through this chaos to get to Havisla. You know, she's just sweating, fear in her face at the death of the Karl, still shaking her deeply.
Okay. Orm is going to bellow out a command. Finish them! And his boys will get to roll damage dice twice. And pick the better. That's his action. The Wolfskin Berserker is going to like look around at like Sigurd, who has left him. He's going to try and follow. And now he's going to have to pick between the witch and the warrior, and it's an obvious choice for him. So Havisla, here comes the pain train. Are you wearing armor, Havisla?
Yes. I've been 15 AC.
Is it like chain, or
No.
what is it?
No, it's kind of stiff leathered at this point.
Okay, sure. So in that case, he's just going to attack you instead of trying to throw you over the side. Okay. So he hits you once and he crits you once.
Can I impose disadvantage on the crit? I know that's kind of metagaming, so I'll impose whichever one you choose.
Yeah, that's how the ability works, so yes. Okay, so it's just one hit then. You'll take 9 bludgeoning. You see like this one particular blow, like this fist is coming right for the underside of your jaw, and you think it would have broken it. But you can see like Sigrid like slightly move him to the side. But then the second one comes too quickly, an elbow into the chest. And you'll take that bludgeoning damage. That was Wolfskin. Okay, Sigverker.
So eyes wild and the teeth bared and crimson froth dripping from his mouth. Sigverker continues to swing wildly. He will miss with the first one for certain. Second one's a 24 though.
Sir.
Which is going to make 13 damage.
That's going to kill him.
And as the cudgel comes down and crushes his skull, Sigverker turns around, raising the cudgel high, and he'll start chanting in Norska, "It's me, it's me, it's me."
Deadly. Yeah. He like falls to the ground. He's just like twitching onto the deck, and you can see like a look of concern pass through some of his crew. Okay. Odd is going to try and fire his arrows down at Sigrid. Misses both times again. One into the deck and one into your shield, Sigrid. Wisla, your turn.
This man has just elbowed her into the chest, and she puts her hand on puts his upper arm, and she whispers, and ice begins to form. He needs a con save. As she pulls the heat from his body.
He gets 13.
That's a fail.
What happens?
He takes a d6 cold damage and has disadvantage on his next attack. So that's going to be 2 cold damage.
Oh no. Okay. So like this frost begins to cover him. He looks down and he looks horrified and furious that he's been touched by a witch. Kel is going to try and mess you up, scum. Might actually hit with what are you, a 21? No, that's not going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, actually, she doesn't have a second weapon, so she lost it last turn. So yeah, it's just a one attack, and it doesn't manage to catch you. You're too quick in the chaos, and it's a point of pride now for her that needs to hit you. Wagner is going to turn from the ruin of Nothganger, and is going to turn and rush towards the big wolf man and try and sneak attack him. He fucking crits him. I wish I had Wagner's character sheet. What is he, level 5?
Yep, proficiency
Yeah, level 5.
3.
Anyone know what sneak attack is for a rogue at level 5?
3d6, I
3d6.
believe.
3d6. Oh, and remember he's got that +1 CX.
Yeah. Oh, wait, it's more than that. Oh my god, I wish I was a rogue. Dude, look at this fucking dice roll. Unbelievable. You see all these fucking 6s? Jesus. Okay, so 12, 24, 28, 30. 42 damage? Fuck, man. Somebody roll me a d10?
Feidhlem.
4.
Oh.
4. That's stunned, I think.
Tis.
Okay. So he's like trying to tear at you, Havisa, and as like the cold overtakes him, he's just like snarling. He like lifts his hand up to strike down, and Wagner just like plunges his Sayax into the armpit, and he goes and let's say this like shuddering breath as like Wagner pulls it out, and this crimson just like sprays out onto the deck. Lifeblood of this man. He just stands there absolutely in bits. That was Wagner. Scum.
This Orm talk Naga before me bellowing orders. What's he dressed in?
Like fine leathers. He's
And
obviously
does he sport a shield?
yeah, a shield and an axe. The axe is of like particularly good quality. You can see there's like a like an inlay of a serpent along the blade.
And the woman at my left, is she similarly lightly armored?
Yeah, all of this crew are lightly armored. Like none of them are in chain of the Reavers.
Okay. And how far is Orm from the gunwale? Like, could I push him into the water with a 10-foot push.
He didn't get very far because I imagine you guys are basically there right at the edge.
Okay, I'm going to push the. I'm assuming that that Kel is weaker than this Orm Torgnaga, the
Looks like
captain. So I'm going to push her into the water first.
Okay.
And
DC 14.
It's not going to do it. Yeah, it's not going to do it. So I'll use my bonus for Reva to do the same. And she can try
She
and
gets
beat an 18.
Yeah, she gets a 7. 3 on the die.
Okay. So I push her over into the water. And then I'm going to do the same on Orm because I'm going to action surge. So here, the first time I attempt and probably fail will be a 14.
Yeah.
For him to beat.
That fails.
The second time will be a 23.
Yeah, he gets a 2 on the die. Fucking hell. Okay, so it's gone.
So I'll push them both off the ship into the water.
Yeah, so there's this sudden surge of energy and you rush forward. They're not expecting it. They've seen you just hiding and ducking and dodging the whole time. So maybe their attention isn't on you when there's just this sudden boom, and you knock Kel back, and as she falls, she grabs the back of Orm's collar in an attempt to stay on the ship. And then as you push him, the two of them plunge into the black sort of waters here
Cool.
and overboard.
I'm going to rush now. I assume not provoking any opportunity of attack back to the stunned guy who just got ruined by Wagner. And I'm going to use my, what's it called here? The old one too. And use my bonus action to make 2 unarmed strikes against this guy while he's stunned.
Nice.
So that'll be with advantage. And I'm just going to rush up to him and grab him by the shoulders and bang the nasal front of my helm into the base of his brain at the back. Just try and smash him down for a crit.
Oh, my lord.
And for a 17 to hit.
Those both hit.
Okay, so because I'm a Reaver, my headbutt is a d6, so that'll be 2d6. I roll 1s for both of them. That's good. 8 bludgeoning and 5, 13 bludgeoning damage.
Okay, he's still alive. With the crit, D12 and D20, please.
Okay, the d12 is a 2, and the d20 is a 3.
Okay. Quick look here. So 2 is... So it's leg, but you said you hit him in the head, so I think that makes more sense.
True enough, actually. Yeah, I was headbutting him in the back of the head.
The unofficial I called it rule for his club. Okay, so you manage to as you grab the front of his head, you shove a finger up his nostril and you tear some of the sensitive flesh there. As you rip the finger out, he's going to be stunned for his next turn as well. As you boom, smash the nasal helm into the back of his head.
And how far was it from where I was fighting at the gunwale to get to the back of this stunned guy? How much movement would I had to have expended?
10 feet.
Then I'll move another 20 feet to next to Wagner. Oh, I guess I'm actually next to him anyway, right? Because he was there. Okay, then I'll stay right next to him because I've seen him be brutal before.
All right. That was all that waiting around paid off. Ulf is dead. Sigrid.
Her nerve coming back. She kind of interposes. She takes the sudden attack of Scum and drawing the attention of the Berserker. She turns quickly to Visla and she says, "Quickly, go and save the Karl with your magic." And then she turns and just makes 2 brutal strikes at the Wolfskin Berserker. Which I believe I have advantage, yeah?
Yes, he's stunned.
Yeah. So that's definitely going to hit on 18 on the die. 7 damage. And, 19 on the die and another 7. So 14 all up.
That's going to do it.
Yeah, so it's just quick. She usually goes... Her tactic is usually taking people out at the knees, right at the legs, because it's usually vulnerable, and if you take their legs out, they're typically done. So that's what she does. She just works quick at one leg, taking the knee just above the knee, and he falls. Bleeds
Yeah,
out.
he falls, and then like surrounded by all of the heroes on this ship, blades just like in and out of his shoulder blades until finally he is dropped and twitches. Okay. At this stage, there's no one on the ship really anymore. You guys are like pushing them back, and with their commander off the ship, and the rest of them, like your crew, is like pushing them. Do you want to stay here and like try and kill them all, or are you going to try and pull away?
I would think we would pull away. We're literally just coming off of the rope.
Kill them! Got them! I'll be screaming, kill!
Right. That's the practical Sigrid thing, because she still thinks that we can save Feidhlem.
Yeah. Like Sigurd would think that, although I think like if anyone examined, he would see that it's not. It's not a case of like spit and glue. Like the wound is like in the heart, and it looks very messy. Okay, so there's chaos. There's no actual leader on the ship anymore. There's no captain, and so some of the people are shouting like, "Let's just fucking go!" and some of them are screaming for death. So we'll continue. Orm is going to
quickly. So Sigrid still has a movement. She would use that movement to immediately. She would be yelling for Hyvisla to follow her, and she would just kind of she would run as quickly as she could to where Feidhlem is fallen on the deck.
Okay. Yep. So you can stand over his body. Orm is like swimming. The camera like pans under the water, and there's just like of like the two ships like smacking together over and over again. And he's like between them. And he's like trying to swim and get air. He's going to try and actually swim.
Can I impose disadvantage because he's got a shield?
Yes, he has got disadvantage. He rolls 2 18s. So he's what he's going to do is he's going to like with the axe he still has, just like cut at the things holding his shield to him, and then drop the axe and swim to the surface as best that he can. You'll see Scum, his like head surface, with like his leather mask pressed tight against his face. He's just trying to catch his breath, and that's what he does with his turn. The Wolfskin Berserker is slain. Sigverker.
Sigverker, laughing like a maniac as he stomps about almost drunkenly on the ship. The laugh abruptly ends as he sees his head poke up from the water. He's going to grab his hatchet and throw it.
Yes. Okay, go for it.
That's a non-natural 20.
Yes, sir.
What is it? D6 for hatchet? Yeah.
D6, yeah.
That's 5 damage.
Okay. All right. So it like slashes into the letter and into his forehead, and you can see like blood begin to run through the mask. Is that it for you?
I've still got one more attack, but I don't think I'm close enough to the Wolfskin Berserker.
Well, you can throw something else, I suppose, if you wanted to.
The Wolfskin's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, is he dead? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got brutalized by Vagnar and Scum.
I forgot he got his head caved in. Yeah, I guess. I can still make a grapple attempt, right enough, can't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's stomp a little further. Reach down and grab him by the hair.
Try and pull him in the boat.
No, I'm trying to hold him under the water.
Amazing. Fucking great. Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Another 14 on the die, so that's a non-natural 20.
Yeah, he gets a 1 with disadvantage. Trying to grapple a berserker while you're swimming. Like, good luck. You're just holding his head under the water. He's like grabbing hold of your arm, and like his fingernails are digging into your arm as he tries to surface.
How about I push it for a bonus action offhand attack to slam his head into the boat?
I love it. I'm in.
Another 14 on the die, 3 in a row, non-natural 20.
Yep, that'll do it.
I assume it's just D4.
Yes.
So that'll be 4.
Plus your strength mod, yeah?
Hold on, I didn't add the strength mod to that. So that will be 7.
Okay. So you can see, as you like look over the side, Sigvarker like grabbing a hold of this guy's hair and like holding him under the boat, and then just like smashes him against the side of the boat, and there's like this of bubbles coming from underneath. Sigvarker, Feidhlem, Odd is going to try and shoot you, Sigvarker, as you're trying to kill his captain. Fucking hell. So the first one, he like pulls the string back too far. He's been firing too quickly and pulling too intensely, and there's like a as his like bowstring snaps. He like frustratedly like throws the bow down and is gonna like just throw the hand axe that he has instead. But it just into the water and misses you. Fucking useless, Vysla.
Vysla is slipping in the blood as she makes her way over to Feidhlem, and she crouches down next to him, and is putting her hands on his face, his neck, his chest, desperately trying to see if there's any way she can save him. And there's not. There's nothing. She's gonna I think probably spend most of her turn trying anyways, just seeing if by some miracle he's still alive.
Yeah, you would think there's too much blood here. Like you're literally walking through blood to get to him, and it's like barely even pumping out anymore. Like you think that it like all left very quickly. Yeah, and if you spent like your turn like looking, you would understand that it's beyond your skill to heal. Okay, Kel is going to try and swim up to the surface. She only has the axe, so she won't have disadvantage. Okay, so Sigrid, you're holding this guy under, and then like a couple of seconds later, this like woman's head is like swimming up to the top, and she like sees like what the fuck is going on. But that's her action to try and surface. Scum, your turn.
Where's the singer?
Your singer?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in like the melee. You would see like there's still like dudes on the ship like from theirs, and there's like a scrap going on there, and he's in there mixing it up.
For my passive perception of 13, does it look like this battle is won? Like not just the one on our deck with like the slaying of their captain and such, but the battle greater as in like their crew being repelled and decimated by ours.
Yeah. It looks like a pretty much foregone conclusion.
I'm going to rush into the fray then and like make it look like I'm attempting to cut down whatever foe the singer's contending with, but I'm just going to try and split his head with Eldgrim's axe. I assume I'll have advantage on the first strike because he won't be expecting that. Okay, that's lucky. 17 for the first.
That's it.
With the second attack, I'll roll a 2 higher than that, so 19 to hit.
Yep.
Then I'm going to do the old 1-2 for the last time on the back of him and just try and grab him and dash his brains out on the gunwale or the mast. For a 14 to hit and a 21 to hit.
14 misses, but 21 hits.
Okay. And 18 is 29, 37 slashing damage. Slashing and bludgeoning.
Fuck. Yeah, he's badly bloodied. Barely standing. This like brutal attack, he's not expecting it. He's like looking at one of these dudes next to him as he's like chanting the song, and then poof, the song ends. Okay. That was Scum. Ulf is dead. Sigrid, your turn.
So Sigrid is standing there over her Karl, protecting him. As she sees Vysla working at him, she would yell, "You better save him, witch, or I'll send you to hell myself." And she kind of just has that axe, but she's just going to hold an action to see if anyone comes. I mean, she probably sees how badly Feidhlem looks, but she doesn't want to admit it yet.
Yeah, you've never seen someone lose this much blood and live.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you had been like looking, you would have seen that blade like sink into the heart, like it went in so deep. Okay, I guess you could still see that there is like a battle going on still on the ship. Like there's still some of the Reavers there fighting against like your pirates. But that's it. Orm is going to try and break out of this grapple before he drowns. He gets a 14, Sigvicker.
Also got a 14.
Okay, so I think he will break out because he's the one doing the action.
Yep.
So he like digs his like fingernails into your forearm, and like as you're like holding them down, he just like bites brutally down onto your thumb until you finally let go and like pulls himself up. He's gonna use his move to swim away and basically down from where the boat is and swim out of your grasp. That's gonna be him. The wolfskin is dead. Sigvicker. Kel is still here. She's like just surfaced and she like sees all this madness go on.
And she's right next to surface, right next to her.
Yeah, they were thrown off together and she surfaced like a couple of seconds after he did.
I feel sorry for her then.
Me too.
Because it's rinse and repeat. The bloodied hand with the teeth marks comes up, but the other hand comes straight down, grabs her by the hair, or attempts to anyway. 21.
Yep.
And once again, smacking the head off the side of the boat. 16.
Yes, sir.
For 7.
Okay. So yeah, she surfaces and just boom, is like smashed against the side of the boat and held under the water. Okay, that's Sigvicker. Odd is out of weapons to throw from range, so he's gonna like begin climbing down the mast, and will do so slowly but surely. Wiesla.
Wiesla looks up at Sigrid and goes, "It may be well beyond me, Sigrid. We need to leave." And she's gonna close Feidhlem's eyes.
Yeah, lifeless as they look up to the sky. Okay. Kel is going to try and break out of that grapple, Sigvicker. The 16.
Natural 20.
Okay, yep. So she's still underwater. She's going to then take some drowning damage. As like bubbles, as it's trying to get above the surface, but is unable to do so. Scum. Oh wait, actually, the singer would definitely get a go somewhere in there. What the fuck would he even do? I don't know if he would even know how to react. He'd probably just try and move away from you so you can make an opportunity attack in the chaos, Scum.
Gladly. 16 to hit.
Yep, that'll hit him.
11 slashing damage.
That's gonna kill him. So he feels this like brutal assault and he's just like, what the fuck? And he like tries to stumble away, and as he does so, your blade cuts across his throat, and he like stumbles down in the chaos and the thick of the spear den.
Can I see what was the fate of Odd Hrafenbracher? Is he the one that was grappling with Chex and with Kel?
No, Orm is the one.
Orm,
yeah, he. If you like looked, you would see that he has like swam to the end of the ship.
Our ship or his?
Well, they're side by side. You know.
Okay. Oh, yeah, of course.
He swum down to one end. I think the opposite end from where like the melee is still happening, because at this end is where Sigvicker and stuff is.
Who's closer to me out of he and Kel?
Kel, definitely.
I'll rush up and like thunk the axe down into Kel, making sure to like not hack into Sigverker.
Yeah.
It's going to be 14 on the die for the first one, so I assume that's going to hit. It'll be a 20 all up, and a 13 to hit all up.
13 misses, but 20 hits for sure.
Okay. And I'm going to draw a hatchet with my offhand and use a bonus attack to hack down into her for a miss. So it will be 9 slashing damage.
Okay.
And the second attack will be 13 slashing damage.
Ooh. Yeah, that's going to end her. So she's like under the water, like desperately struggling for breath, and she doesn't see the axe blows coming, and one of them just hits her poof, in the side of the head, and you feel her like stop struggling, Sigverker, beneath the waves.
Then I'll just like move back away from the edge, back into the middle of our boat, and survey the carnage. I'll probably witness at that point like Visa closing Feidhlem's eyes and informing Sigrid.
Yeah. At this stage, their crew, what's left of them, are like retreating back onto their ship, and you can see that like they are like pulling oars up and stuff in the attempt to like escape as quickly as possible. What's left of their crew, you can see like Orm throw an arm up over the far side of their ship, and they're going to try and escape and pull away. If you want to try and catch them, I'll need a sailing check.
It only seems right that I do it at disadvantage because really Sigrid's head is not in the game right now.
Scom will rush to your side and try and aid you. Use the help action.
You suck, Nico. All right. Wow. 19.
Okay, so they're trying to pull away, but like with your commands and like the crew being emboldened, they like pull the ropes tighter and they're unable to like pull away. And you can see like those of them who had like gone to get oars like stand back up and hold fast. Okay, whose go was that? That was Scum. Sigrid.
I think Sigrid's turn would be bellowing some orders, which actually brings her attention away from Havisla. And it's probably, Havisla probably was like, what is she going to do? Because her knuckles were definitely whitening on her axe and she was bringing it back. We don't know if she was going to actually swing at Havisla or not as she starts bellowing orders, not letting those dogs get away. So I would say that's her turn, keeping the crew, get whatever crew are free from fighting to do what we got to do to not let them get away.
Okay, no problem. Sigrid. Orm is going to try and pull himself into their boat, but he's unable to do so. He's too exhausted from the swim and from being held underwater and everything. You see like there's hands on the far side of their boat, but he's unable to pull himself in. With Orm, Wolfskin is dead. Sigverker.
How close are the boats, if, like kind of feet wise?
You could literally jump. They're like 3 feet apart.
Perfect. I'm going straight for their boat then.
Okay.
Would I? Yeah, I guess I would probably pass Orm on the way.
Orm hasn't made it back onto their ship yet. You pass Odd.
Pass Odd. That'll do. The red's down. The red missed. See, I get complimented on my dice rolls. And now it's come back to bite me. Both misses.
Killer. So Odd sees you coming and there's like this look of fear on his face, like a true berserker, like barreling his way through the battlefield. And so he like actually like jumps up a little bit onto the mast and is able to like avoid you for now. Sigverker. And it's Odd's turn. He's going to leap down. He's going to pick up just like a piece of wood and try and batter you with it because he doesn't have a weapon. It's a fucking crit. They're coming hard and fast tonight.
Bit of wood with a nail in it.
Yep. So you'll take a total of 5 damage.
I'm going to reaction that, so I'm going to take no damage.
Okay. Yep. And he is going to do the quick thing. get 24. Ooh. So he has this bit of wood with a nail in it, and he like swings, and you like lift your hand up to block, and the nail goes through your palm, between the bones, not severing any major tendons or blood vessels or nerves. You're going to drop anything in that hand, which I guess means the
cudgel.
Cudgel, yeah.
Yep.
You'll have disadvantage on attack actions until the weapon is withdrawn from your hand. So it's like stuck there, basically. So either he or you will have to take an action to like pull it out. Yeah, so you have disadvantage until you do that. Okay, that's odd. Wisla.
Wisla saw the look in Sigurd's eyes, and in spite of knowing whatever she does is useless at this point, she puts Feidhlem's arms across his chest, the blade still firmly in his hand, and she sits astride him and puts her hand on the sides of each of his face and begins chanting.
You're not actually trying to do any actual magic, right?
No, I don't actually have a spell that will help at this point, but
Okay, can you roll deception? Actually, you can do it with advantage because no one would have a clue what actually magic looks like.
Oh, that's good. That's a 19 on the die with advantage.
Okay, so what's your total?
That brings my total up to 21.
Okay. All right. So Sigrid, you would see like Wisla desperately trying and like chanting and like singing the songs of Odin as she tries to heal Feidhlem as intensely as she can. That's Wisla. Kel is dead. Scum.
And I can see Orm still trying to clamber up on board his own ship.
Yeah. And
can see nearby to that, I assume, Sigverka fighting with Hrafnbraka.
Yeah.
But is Chex weaponless now?
You see that he's dropped the cudgel because there's like a nail sticking out the back of his hand, and like the weapon is like stuck in his hand.
I'm just going to hurl hand axes then. How far away would it be to jump across from ship to ship?
Not far at all. It wouldn't even be a check.
Okay, so just be part of my movement. If that's the case, I'll probably like wait till like other men have like jumped across and like join in like our assault, jumping over onto board theirs. And I'll move up to near Sigverka and try and hack down the opponent who's like nailed his hand. I'll use the Eldgrim's axe for the first two strikes, and then the hatchet for the bonus.
Perfect.
So it'll be a 13, which will probably miss.
Yep, that misses.
And then a crit fail, where Eldgrim's axe just goes from my blood-slick, murderous hands and plops into Ran's greedy treasure trove. So with my bare hands, I'll grab this guy by the throat and try and bash the front of his face in with the iron boss of my nasal helm for a crit fail. So my helmet, I imagine, gets knocked off, and like a lank of blood-soaked hair like flies back. And it's one of those things where he leans down his skull cap into my headbutt, and so like brains me back, and my skull cap flies free. And he just looks up and sees my pale, blood-soaked face and my creepy red eye, manic expression, probably like tinged now with a bit of fear.
Yeah. And he too is afraid, like he's like standing opposite this berserker and now this like blood-eyed person, and you can see in him like that he wishes he wasn't here. No great warrior is odd. Okay, Ulf is definitely dead and has been for a long time. Sigrid.
Seeing Wisla using her magic to save the Karl, she runs to the aid of Scum and just strike with her axe.
Okay.
Yeah. 11.
11 misses.
Okay. And another 11. So that'll miss. But I am not going to go out that way. I'm going to action surge and at least try it 2 more times. Oh, and that 20. There we go.
Very nice.
Nat 20, and that is 7, 8, 13 slashing damage.
Okay. And then a D12 and a D20, please, for the crit.
All right, I get to use my D12. 8 and a 7.
8 is arm. Um, okay, so it slices into his forearm, and he like lets go of that bit of wood that has the nail in it. So now it's just like stuck in Sigvricker's hand, sort of like awfully, but he's not holding it anymore. He's not holding anything. He's just clutching at his forearm that you've slashed into.
And the second attack is a 17 for 12. Wait, no, not 12. 11.
Okay. Yep, he's still up but badly wounded.
Yeah.
Surrounded now, basically on all sides. That was Sigrid. Orm is going to try and pull himself into the ship. He can't do it. He's like trying to pull himself up, but the leather is like soaked and too heavy, and he's like not necessarily the strongest of warriors. He's like trying to pull himself up, but he just can't do it. He keeps like slipping his grip, and he hangs on the side of the ship still. Sigvrker.
Sigvrker raises his hands with the board stuck in it, screaming something incomprehensible. He's not going to remove it. He's just going to try and bring it down on Odd's head and just batter it home. So I guess I'm still doing that at disadvantage for the thing. So first attack, 19.
That hits.
Disadvantage. I'll just roll the second as well. 23 disadvantage.
Yep.
This is great. First one 7. Oops. Second one is, I've just forgotten how to math. Second one is 9, so 16 all up.
That's going to finish him off. So with this like board and the nail, you're just going to like grab and just like smash it down into him, and he'll just like twitch and then fall against the mast down onto the ground, and will never move again. That's odd, dead. Havisla, you're on the ship now alone. Apart from like some of the crew who are here, but all of like the people who like all of the player characters are on the other ship fighting. You're alone with Feidhlem's corpse.
Visla is remembering the man she saw when it was cold and dark. If that was hell, wherever it was. That he'd given her a blessing. And she begins to wonder if she might trade it. And how.
Interesting. Scum.
I'm going to take the high quality knife from my belt. So I have a hatchet in one hand and it in the other. And I'm going to slam it down hilt first. Sorry, not hilt first, like blade first, but like fist down into Orm's hand as he clambers up onto the gunwale to pinion him in place with the first strike for a 16 to hit.
Yes.
Okay, he will take 8 piercing damage.
Okay.
And I'll take the hatchet in 2 hands and like steady myself like someone about to drive a post down, and I'll drive it down into his head for 2 higher than that, which will be a hit.
Yep.
9 slashing this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to bonus action to hit him unarmed with my boot and just kick his head down, even though he's like hands sliced through on the gunwale, for a 2 higher than that again. So
yep.
He will take 10 more from the boot than anything else. Hit him in the side of the head with the boot, trying to drive him down into the water.
Okay, he's very nearly dead. you can see he's like that. His like vision is kind of like cloudy. He's like trying to hold on, and now he's just like swimming because he's like you've like sliced his hand so poorly, or so badly. Okay, that was Scum. Sigrid, is that it for you? Sorry, Nico.
I assume he can't make an attack at me if I move away, so I'll move back to Sigrid and Sigverka, and just like if I can do anything to like recover Sigverka's weapon, like do anything for the hand, anything like that incidental, I will, rather than stay right near the edge where he can pull me ingloriously down.
Okay, Sigrid, your turn.
Yeah. So Sigrid would she would be bellowing over and over again, take none alive, kill them all. And so maybe she cuts down a couple of fucking noobs. And because she sees this battle's almost over, so they're just hacking down whatever is left.
Okay. Orm is going to one last time try and put himself into the goddamn boat. 6 on the die. So he's just unable. He's too old. And his best reaving days are behind him now with like a wounded hand. He's like lazily holding onto the side of the boat and just like trying to catch his breath and is unable to put himself in.
All except him, I'll say to Sigrid, him we'll keep alive to find out where Erthel's moving and what his plans might be.
Yeah, she would definitely, there would be like that. She would think about it a second. I imagine she's just covered in blood and she would just nod. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
If like mechanically you want to like capture this man, at this stage he is outnumbered so heavily that I don't think there's anything he can do about it. Like you can easily pull
I'll
him into the
skull
ship.
drag him aboard and tie him up and take the blades from him and reef the shield off him and cast it down.
Yeah, he's basically without equipment anyway. He had to drop it all to try and swim, and so you like bring him onto the ship, and he's just breathing heavily, like finally being able to catch his breath. He's like bleeding badly from his hand, and looks thoroughly defeated. And that is the end of that fight. Oh boy. So you stand on the deck of their ship as the men kill your ship. Yeah, as the men kill. Are you going to kill them all? Or are you going to take thralls?
Iskolf and Reavers make ill thralls.
Yeah, we kill them to the man except for the one
who has died and needs blood to carry him to his afterlife.
Yeah, okay. So there's like a brutal sort of I imagine this like slow action where like your guys are just moving them closer and closer to the edge of the ship and they're like fighting back, but eventually they're just brought down. And you stand victorious, silent now as like the waves move the ships. And you can see the coast and hear the call of a raven as it looks down upon the corpse of Karl Feidhlem. What now? Sail home?
I imagine like many other scoms looking around for like who will order or who will command.
Yeah.
Probably the Sigrid is who his eyes would fall to, since she's a representative of the Jarl of these lands.
Yeah, so that would be the command that she would say. She would say like, clean him. We go home. And yeah, so we would turn ship to, Vagna would definitely have something to say, I think. I really wish Rob was here.
Well, for now, Sigrid gives the command to head home. Back to Ingvik. Are you taking their? You're definitely gonna take their ship with you. Why would you not?
Oh yeah.
And the loot aboard, and you make your way further north towards Ingvik and Bjornsborg, and we'll pick it up with you landing next time. So thank you to those of you who watched. I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for playing, everybody. Bye.